Okay, it's 6:30. I would like to call the Baldwin City Council meeting for May 13th, 2024 to order, please. If you will join me in the invocation and pledge. Father God, thank you for keeping all of us safe through the storms last week and bringing us together tonight. Please watch over us as we make important decisions for our community. It's an intense time for a lot of communities around here, and we particularly need your assistance. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the first item tonight on our agenda is the consent agenda. Did everybody have a chance to look at the council retreat minutes, city council meeting 4/29/24, and work session 5/7/2024? Yes. Any comments, questions, concerns? No? Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion from Councilman Venter. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from our newly married Councilman Joseph Satterfield. Congratulations to you. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, the next item on the agenda is public comments. If there is any Baldwin citizen who has business with the council, please come forward, state your name and address.
Hi, I'm Nick Shirley. My address is 490 Highland Point Drive. Hi, so I came in April to talk about the road conditions and the speeding conditions that we deal with in Highland Point. We went around the past couple of weeks and gathered signatures and just general approval from neighborhood members of whether they would be on board with speed bumps in the neighborhood. And it was an overwhelming yes. We didn't get around to 100% of the houses in the neighborhood, but 99% of the houses that we did go to were just absolutely yes, we need these, protecting our kids kind of thing. So I really just wanted to see where we're at with that and what we can do about that.
I think now that we know that we have the support of the community, is this something we can have Scott look into, the head of Public Works?
Absolutely. It is, before we can put speed bumps down, it doesn't need to be repaid. We could put in temporary speed bumps, so I can have them look at properly.
Because the paving project is down the road. Right. So at least temporary speed bumps, what do those look like?
The ones at City Hall, if you drive over them, that's what that would feel like. Those can be placed out in any type of pavement, so.
Do we have an approximate timeline for repavement?
Hopefully in the next 3 years. It's a part of the SWAT 7
Okay.
project list.
Okay.
It's a big project.
Understood. I do just want to put this out there that it was last week. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but my driveway is 30 feet long, right? So I've got 30 feet from my front door to the driveway. I'm sitting on my front patio area, doing some lawnmower work, and my little kids are playing. I got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. They're playing in the driveway, just being kids, right? We have a blue Ford Escape that's just notorious for way too fast. My kids are playing in the driveway. They're probably 8-10 feet away from the edge of the road. She comes hauling around the corner. I can't get to them before she makes it to my driveway. And I don't have a radar gun. I don't have a lot of stuff, but I can do basic math. I figured out how far she traveled in the time. She was doing about 50 miles an hour, about 8 feet away from my kids. So I do want to stress that this is important to me and my neighborhood members.
Well, certainly appreciate that. Scott he's a go-getter. We'll have an answer for us real quick, and we'll be able to make plans and work on that.
Highland Point is a big circle. One set of speed bumps isn't going to be enough. Can we talk about how many we would place, or how
You
is
just
that
need to go out there.
determined?
It's, by distance. So we would just have to go there and measure it and see what we can do with the company.
One directly in front of 490 wouldn't be opposed.
$4.99 across the street.
I was just gonna say, who's across the street, no, they don't get that,
Yes.
that's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a
We'll
whole,
start from there and then work the circle.
yeah, and if it ends up being duplicates at the end, you know,
The majority of the neighbors are.
yeah, there's a Hall County deputy that works, he lives across the street, so his patrol car sits 3 feet from the road and people are still just, so.
So we're having the same issue in my neighborhood, and my neighbors keep coming to talk about this. Can I take a point of privilege and invite, Chief Jones to talk about the neighborhood? Chief Jones is behind you, and he has been talking to my neighbors, because 15 miles an hour is posted in my neighborhood, and very few people keep to the 15 miles an hour. And we have dog walkers and children and elderly people riding giant tricycles, mom, and speeders. And, Chief, can you just give us a short synopsis of what you told the Chandler Heights neighbors about, you patrol, and we know that Baldwin PD patrols the neighborhood, but catching the speeders, like this person in the Ford, is an issue for us. And why can't you put up a radar, trap and things like that?
All right, so good evening, Mayor, Council, public. So what's your name, sir?
Nick
All
Trout.
right, Nick, Chris Jones, good to meet you. So which exact residence is yours?
490 for the one with the really awesome grass.
Okay. Right. So this is always a huge problem, every jurisdiction that I've worked in, except for the State Patrol. So I can explain speed detection very well based on my background there. So as a trooper, you don't have to have a speed detection certification permit for the roadway. As long as there's a posted speed limit sign, you can do speed detection.
There are none.
We do not have a posted speed limit.
All right, so
We need one.
So that would be definitely something Public Works, Scott can help them on that. So this is what we want to do. We want to be problem solvers. So, but when we get outside of State Patrol, then we run into issues. So for a municipality police officer, county deputy, we cannot run speed detection in or certain areas that does not have a permit through the Department of Public Safety for that roadway. And we get into different stipulations. There's grade of the roadway, 7%. Then we've got to be visible from so many feet. And we've also got to have signage that speed detection is in use. So there's lots of obstacles against a municipal police officer or a deputy. So we can patrol the roads, and we could even, I've heard it said, well, use your speed detection. If they're speeding, write them a citation for too fast for conditions. That's not it. Me nor my officers will be allowed to do such activities as that. That's wrong. But what we can do, in the case, I was at City Hall with the mayor. A very concerned citizen came in, not happy. I probably spent 30, 45 minutes engaged in a conversation. So for that neighborhood, what I suggested is I called the post commander for the local state patrol post that covers our territory and ask, can y'all, if you're in the area, ride through this neighborhood, and if they're speeding, state patrol can stop a car for 1 over. Us, we have to give them 10 as a deputy or a police officer. We have to give them 10 plus over the limit. So that is where the best advice I can give is, as far as writing a citation, we will have to call the state patrol. But here's the problem with that. They're very short-handed. There's normally one trooper in the entire county. And they're here to work wrecks as well. Yes, ma'am. Any other questions? All right.
I'm clear.
All right. All right.
Yeah, so on those lines, I didn't go to the police department originally because we understand that there's staffing issues and you're just never gonna be able to sit there and watch them all day. Just some speed bumps, I think, would be right track to go.
Well, I
Absolutely.
certainly appreciate you, going through your neighbors and talking to them, you know, it makes it much easier for us to make a decision when we know everybody in the neighborhood's on board with it. Because, I mean, it's one of those, damned if you do, damned if you don't
Right.
get that, your neighbors involved in that.
Mhm.
But, yeah, no, I certainly appreciate you doing
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. I can send you, this list that I have.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah.
Can you give it to Aaron? Is that-
Yeah, I'll just.
You
I'll-
you
yeah,
email,
I'll
you email it
you.
to me? Yes, sir,
Awesome.
thank you.
I'm gonna make you a copy.
Sorry.
I'm gonna
That's all
make
I've
a
got.
copy
Thank
right
you.
now.
Thank you, really appreciate it, thank you for coming in.
Yeah, as far as safety pole being short-staffed, I think that also on Highway 17 in Tacoma. I've seen them trapping both sides of that highway. And they always seem to pick the white F-150.
Mr. Sherman, do you have an HOA?
No.
No. Okay. Thank you.
I don't wanna be the guy to start one, but I'm getting there.
No, we got
Good evening.
Thank you.
Okay. See no other citizens to come forward. We don't have any public hearings. The next item on the agenda is reports. If Ms. Susan would come up and talk to us about municipal courts.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I would like to just say that with court, there's not a whole lot of changes that's happened the last little while, so I don't have a lot to speak on. We have, been working, of course, the main thing right now is the budget. So we've been working on trying to, make that work out as best as we could. We are still working to create more office space for the court so that we can do, what we have to do. And Jessica could help more, or a full-time person could be here. I've just finished my yearly mandatory court training, and it gave me some insight to some new procedures that I will be working on to try to make happen. I've done a lot of research on the court interpreters and what we need on that. I've gotten some information back from the people that pretty much made this a thing, and they've actually been pretty helpful on trying to get me some information on that. We're still working to make the court security work out to be smooth and to where we have enough officers to do all of our transports and enough officers to be here. That's another thing we're working on right now. I'm working with the judge, the solicitor, and the PD to look at new court procedures to make everything more efficient in the court. We're doing things a little different, and I think it's working out better. So we're just gonna keep working in that direction to see what works and what doesn't work. And then the other thing we're doing is just to keep researching for the court interpreters to make sure that we can get the licensed certified interpreters. That's the main thing that right now is on everybody's mind, I believe. And I talked to a person in Helen that knows somebody that might be closer that could help us out too. So pretty much that's where we're at right now with court. Not a whole lot of difference, just a lot of work. Any questions?
Well, thank you so much for staying on the interpreters issue. You know, knowing the folks who come to our court needing the assistance, I'm
Definitely.
glad we're keeping that conversation in the front
Right.
of mind.
And I did talk to the people who actually taught my classes, were also on the board that created this. And he gave me a lot of information, gave me some ideas of where to go, did tell me that our best bet is to find someone particularly for our court, because trying to get somebody off of a list in Atlanta is gonna be like a nightmare. We would be last on the list because we're so far away, we're small, nobody would want to pick us to come to. So, we trying to find someone that will do it for our court, they said was definitely the best idea. So that's what I'm looking into.
Have we reached out, I'm sorry, have we reached out to local universities to see if any of their professors, might be interested in something like this?
I hadn't thought of that one, that's a good idea.
Or even the high
Yeah.
school, yeah,
Right.
there are folks at the high school, Piedmont University, and I don't know if if Linear Tech has a Spanish program or North Georgia Tech, Truett.
Well, I know that Jessica is very interested in doing this. You know, that would be one that, it would be great if we had at least two. I don't know for sure where Pastor Sam's at with it. I sent him all the information, and I know he really wants to continue to help us. So we are still working on both of those two, and I know Jessica, I know she could do it, and I know she wants to do it. So that's one big, that's a one big.
Isn't there like an issue though with her working for the court and being the interpreter?
That was
for the
something
court?
that I did talk to him about. He said as long as she is not working in front of the public in the court, if she wants to be here to a couple of days a week or whatever to put my payments together still and all that, he said that's fine, that's not a conflict. But her working in the court, like taking payments while she's also interpreting, he said that would be a problem. But he said as long as she's just putting together payments and stuff like she does now, that would be fine.
And as you said, we need multiple people here. As somebody goes through the process during the day, we need somebody else who can come in front of the judge. Okay.
Yep, so that's what we're working on.
Okay, great. Susan, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate the update.
What's the deadline?
Well, actually, it was supposed to be done by January 1st. But tell us in November. So,
right.
and even when I called and talked to him, I told him, I said, you know, we're really concerned about this. I said, I'm one of those people that want to do things by the book. There's rules for a reason. And he said, we do realize that, but we also realize there's just not enough. He said, there is not enough. And what he actually had me to do was to call one of the people that he knew very well that runs the agency in Woodstock and ask him, just tell him to talk to me about what happens. And he's the one that explained, you'd be the last on the list. Nobody wants to drive all the way to North Georgia for an hour, which is a 2-hour minimum. But and then he said they want to be where they can run down the street where they're at. And he said, so your best bet is to get someone in your area. And like he said, we hated it when they did this because there is not enough interpreters to cover everything. He said it was a nightmare when they told us that we were going to have to do this. So, yeah, our best bet is to find somebody who will do it for us.
So they've extended their, like.
Yeah, he said you're not going to get in trouble right now. He said as time goes on, you're not going to get in trouble. But he said it's not anything that they can really do right now. They can't punish us for there not being anybody to do this.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's what I was worried about too. But he said right now you're good. You just keep trying.
Okay, and we can demonstrate that we are trying.
Definitely. I've already called the main ones. So.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, next item on the agenda is old business consideration or approval of PTO supplement for exempt employees. Ms. Woodmaster?
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
So we have talked about this PTO supplement. In your packet are the 3 policy changes that discuss a salaried employee or an exempt employee. The purpose or premise of changing this is to allow for our salaried employees to just have a vacation allotment entitled to within their salary, and they no longer will accrue PTO. It's just entitled upon the acceptance of the job, and they will earn based on their tenure. They will have the additional hours the same way that they would have had they continued to accrue. It's just instead of the accrual and then using the accrued time for time off, it's going nowhere. Because a salaried employee is entitled to a full week's pay if they work during that week. So requiring a salaried employee to use PTO, it was just supplementing the salary, and it wasn't actually a benefit. It was just like a reallocation of the salary. Like we're just changing the line item. And so this is actually eliminating that for a salaried employee. The expectation is that time will be taken off, obviously at the discretion of their department head or city manager. Yeah, I think those are the main points. There's 3 different policies just because the first one is obviously the actual vacation allowance or allotment. And then the second one is, I believe, just changing the comp time to eliminated. which we worked through a couple of years ago. We changed it from time and a half to just time, and now we're eliminating that because comp time won't matter. It's expected that you get your job done within 2,080 hours in a year. And sometimes it may take more in a week, sometimes it may take less, but it's at the discretion of the employee to use their time wisely to ensure that the work is done and it's not compromised. And then the third one is just clarifying an exempt employee and the vacation allowance in that language. Any questions?
This is something we brought up last week in work session, seemed to make sense. And, Joseph, you weren't here, the policy manual committee has looked at this, and Ms. Woodmaster has talked to department heads about it. Everybody was on board with the changes.
Okay.
Do you have any questions?
No, I didn't.
It does impact, and we talked about this in the work session, that this first year that we're implementing it, it will look a little different on the salary because we're taking what they've earned and paying it out to them, and then taking what they would have earned and adding it to their salary. So it won't happen again that way until they've accrued additional weeks or so of vacation. But for this coming budget cycle, you'll have, at the end of this fiscal year, a payout for any accrued time so that it's gone and it's no longer in there, and then the salary adjustment for this coming fiscal year.
Okay, anything else? Can I have a motion to approve the PTO supplement for exempt employees policy amendments as presented?
So move.
A motion from Councilman Venter, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Councilman Keith, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And does this complete the revision of our policy manual, or pretty close to it now?
Yes, now it all just has to be compiled into one clean document, submitted to legal for review, and then adoption.
It's been a project since I was first on council.
Yeah.
So, okay, new business, ratification of the consent order for Alto Mountain Grocery, BP Gas. Mr. Samuels?
Absolutely.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
If you turn to page 4 and 5 of your packets, you will see the consent order proposed that Mr. Hargness and I have worked out for the Alto Mountain Express alcohol license violation issue. As you know, they were cited for selling alcohol to a minor, and we were scheduled for a hearing last week. We worked out this consent order in advance of the hearing. The terms of it are that they would pay a $750 fine, correct all zoning and life safety issues identified on the premises, update their handbook to include a policy of requiring proof of age for alcohol, tobacco, and hemp sales, and finally to pay all past due water bills and all past due city personal property taxes that had accrued on the property. I will note that Mr. Hargness has been really excellent in allowing us to negotiate all of these issues in a sort of omnibus package rather than having to chase down this business through like nuisance abatement actions or anything like that to settle this issue. We've been able to sort of streamline the process and work it out all through this alcohol licensing issue, and all of the different concerns that we had heard from Emily are addressed by this order. So hopefully this will be able to put all issues of the Alto Mountain Express behind us, and things will be all smooth going forward. Does anybody have any questions about the terms of this, or anything I can explain?
If I may, I've provided Mr. Samuels a check for the $750. The back taxes and the water have been paid. The employee agreement has been signed by the employees. I provided that to him. There was a zoning issue where it was believed someone was living in there. The clerks were sleeping in there during their time off. That's been closed off to them, so they don't have access. So everything in the consent agreement has already been taken care of, has already been addressed and paid.
We've got it all right here.
Any other questions for either attorney?
Thank you all very much.
All right, can I have a motion to ratify the consent order for Alto Mountain Grocery as previously approved at the hearing on May 1st, 2024?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion from Councilman Venter. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Councilman Satterfield. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, I would like to amend the agenda to read the announcements now before we go into executive session, just for continuity. Mr. Samuels, do you think that will be okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do I need a motion from Mr. Samuels, do I need a motion to amend the agenda, or can I just go?
Yes, you should just go ahead and amend the agenda.
Okay, can I have a motion to amend the agenda to, read the announcements before we go into executive session for purposes of continuity for anybody watching tonight? I have a motion from Councilman Heath, do I have a second? I have a second from Councilwoman Davis, all those in favor? Any opposed? Okay. The announcements for this evening, the city of Baldwin will host a town hall meeting for the FY 2025 budget tomorrow night at 6:30 at the Baldwin Farmers Market at 110 Airport Road. We invite citizens to ask questions, meet department heads and staff, and discuss the future of Baldwin. Do we have a rain location if we happen to be drizzled upon? A tent? Very good, okay. Join us for Movies in the Market on May 24th, starting at 8:30. Bring your lawn chairs, blankets. Join us for a free night of fun at the Farmers Market located at 110 Airport Road. This month we will be showing Moana. Concessions are available, with all proceeds going to Shop with a Hero. Third announcement, city offices will be closed May 27th in observance of Memorial Day. Are there any announcements from council? Any announcements from staff?
We also have our second refresh market on the 25th. I apologize.
So 5:25, we have Refresh Market. This will be our second one. We had the first one this past week. So 5:25, if there are any farmers in the area, you can set up at no charge. It is Saturday from what? From 11 to 3 in the parking lot of City Hall. No charge to farmers. You have eggs, you have honey, you have breads, those kinds of things. We would love to have you. I'm gonna take a point of privilege. We need to acknowledge Ms. Erin Gathercole. Last week was City Clerks Week, and we just wanna say thank you for all you do for us. You've been such a great addition to the Baldwin team, and we're really lucky to have you.
Thank you so
So,
much.
I hope you feel appreciated.
I did. I was a little alarmed for a second. I was like, oh God, what did I do?
But thank you
Thank you
for trusting me. I appreciate it.
I would also like to acknowledge Baldwin's Public Works Department. The storm last Wednesday was a doozy affecting not just Baldwin, but the entire county. And again, our staff does yeoman's work. So thank you very, very much to all of our staff in Public Works who spent quite a night out there in the storm, helping our citizens be made whole again. So thank you to the Public Works folks. That ends the announcements. Can I have a motion to close the regular session, move into executive session for personnel? I have a motion from Councilman Heath. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second from Councilwoman Davis. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, we are headed into executive session.